Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. So, I was watching these videos, bug out vehicle videos. I'm not gonna say whose videos or whatnot. Nobody that I talk to on a regular basis, but just looking through YouTube, and I get disturbed by the crap that people say you need to have a bug out vehicle. The reason it bothers me is because there's a lot of people out there that are novice preppers, just getting into the whole survivalist thing, and they want to build a bug out vehicle. So they go on YouTube and they start watching these videos, and they don't know any better, and you got these so-called experts turning around and saying, well, if you got to build a bug out vehicle, it's got to be the biggest vehicle you can get. You got to have an 8-inch lift. You got to have 45-inch tires. You got to have 16 LED light bulbs facing all directions, 3 CB radios, 4 inverters, and 16 train horns. Then you're good to go. And you got to have 3 first aid kits and 6 fire extinguishers. This is a bunch of bullshit. When I watch this stuff, it disgusts me, and because these people watch this and then they go, well, I can't afford to do that on my budget. How am I supposed to make a bug out vehicle? That's what I'm supposed to have, and some people don't know any better, and that's all right, but it discourages people. So I wanted to clarify a little bit my opinion and point of view on this, and I'm not going to mention the channel, so I'm not here to badmouth people. That's not what I do. But when you're making a bug out vehicle, you can work with what you got. I'm a big believer that every household should have at least one 4-wheel drive vehicle in the household, regardless of where you live. If you can, that's what it should be. That's my opinion. Now, work with what you got. If I can't afford a 2018 Escalade. I can't afford a Hummer H2. Hell, I couldn't afford the gas on it. My gas in my truck's bad enough. What do I have? I have a 2004 F-150. I work with what I got. Over time is when I started purchasing accessories. I didn't do it all once. I got a little tiny, I think it's a 2-inch lift, a leveling kit in the truck, and I got a little bit bigger all-terrain tires, and my accessories that I added over time, the CB, some off-road lighting and first aid kits and stuff. But I have a lot of stuff in the truck now, don't get me wrong, but it took me time to do it. I've got a lot of that stuff over time. I didn't do it all at once. And a lot of these people out there saying you can't have a bug out vehicle unless you have this and that and this and that, and that's just simply not the truth. Start out simple. If all you got is a 1997 Chevy Blazer, that's all right. Start off with the simple things. Get yourself some flashlights in your truck. Get yourself, a couple first aid kits. Get yourself the priorities. A first aid kit to handle what you need. Extra food, extra water, some extra clothing. Maybe throw your bug out bag in there, and have some extra motor oil and stuff like that. That stuff, get your priorities down first, then you build off of it. Sorry, my phone's twisting around here on me, everybody. I've said many times about when you're starting to get into prep, try not to do it all at once. Don't burn yourself out physically, mentally, and financially. Take your time and do it over time. Start off slow. You don't need to have a monster truck. And think about, I say this all the time, there's 3 main important things to consider when you're building a bug out vehicle, in my mind, and that's where I live, where I plan on bugging out to, and the terrain and or location, states, areas that I'll be traveling through to get to the next location. That's how I base building my bug out vehicle. That's how most people should. If you live in the middle of Manhattan, you are not going to have a giant lifted truck. You don't need one anyway. So why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. You're a city prepper. The last thing you're going to be doing is making a giant vehicle. If anything, you might have an inconspicuous car going Gray Man style, try to get out of the cities. Regardless of the cities, any cities I'm talking about. First of all, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb with a giant monster truck in any city. And second, it's just not practical. So when you're watching these videos, people, whether you're watching mine or everybody else's, don't ever get discouraged. Start off, work with what you got. There's no shame in that. Work with what you got. If you got a car, load your trunk up with what you need. Get some food in there, a case of water, get some extra clothes for you and the family, and maybe a nice first aid kit, some extra stuff to maintain your vehicle on the road, which I talked about, which is really important. If you're going to be building a bug out vehicle, everybody, one thing you should all try to do is take some time and learn how to do the basic maintenance on your vehicle, like changing the tires, plugging a tire, oil changes. The more you can know about your vehicle, the better. Especially your heating, cooling system, your radiator, your just stuff like that. Knowing how to change hoses, where the little upper and lower radiator hoses are located, where your spark plugs are located, how to get to them. Stuff like that's important to know. Where your oil filter is. Those are the type of things that you're going to need to know if you're on a real bug out situation. So you should maybe try to, I always, you guys know this, I've made some videos on this, I keep extra parts and things like that, in the vehicle, in case I break down and need to change things. Keep yourself something, you're building a bug out vehicle, keep a nice good tool set in there, a nice, a decent quality tool set. If you got to work with cheap Walmart brand, hey, it's better than nothing, at least you got a tool set in there. But do what you can, get a tool set in there, a nice ratchet set, something that you can work on your vehicle with. And over time, you add some other tools to it you might need. But start off somewhere. Don't worry about having an 8-inch lift and the most expensive vehicle. Don't let it discourage you. I don't have the most expensive vehicle. I'm not a child of wealth. I have worked for everything I got, and I make what I got work for me. Make what you got work for you. That's the key to what I'm talking about here. Don't worry about what other people have. Don't have prepper envy. Because your neighbor next door has got the 8-inch lift on his brand new on his brand new Escalade. Who gives a shit? Work with what you got. Be happy you got a vehicle. That puts you ahead of the game over somebody else. And to do it slowly. There are some necessities that you probably should have. Some auxiliary lighting would be good. An inverter would be good. Every bug out vehicle should have a CB radio. If you can't afford a CB radio at first, you can get cheaper ones now. You can probably pick one up at $25, $35 now on Amazon or eBay or whatever. And eventually you get a good one. Hell, I had a real nice Cobra, but I put it in my wife's Blazer from when she was pregnant. Now I'm stuck with the lower end unit then, but I make it work. You know what I mean? I can't afford another Cobra right now. So, hey, do what I gotta do, right? You guys can do the same thing. Get a CB radio. It's really important, or if you can't get a CB, maybe you got an extra set of FRS radios at home, handheld radios or something. That's what you got. Stick that in your truck. At least you got some kind of communication in your vehicle. Some auxiliary lighting is good. Definitely want to get some flashlights in there. If you can afford a set of decent off-road lights, that's great. You don't need a 56-inch LED light bar, and then I'm not saying you don't need it. That's good to have, but I'm saying you don't need that, and then you don't, along with a light bar on the grill, 6 light bars in the back, then KC lights, spotlights all over the roof. You really don't need all that. If you can afford it and you want to deck your vehicle out with that's great. But just one good light bar, one good pair of off-road lights, that's all you really need if you're starting out. That gives you the auxiliary light you need to see down the road or through the trails. That's it. You want to get a little bit big, you want decent tires in your vehicle? Absolutely. A good pair of shoes is one of the best things your vehicle could have. You can invest into money you can invest. That being said, you don't need the most huge, extremely loud, noisy, obnoxious off-road tires. They are great for off-road, and I'm all about them. But think about where you live. If you live in a rural area, that's great. But if you live in a place where you got a lot of pavement and stuff like that, those big nubby off-road tires are going to wear down really quick on some high-speed highway driving. So just consider that. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm not knocking anybody who goes with the big tires, but you don't need to go absurdly big, which is, if you have the money to do so and build everything correctly, you do. But just keep in mind, generally speaking, with the huge tires, you sacrifice mobility. And what I mean by that is your turning radius tends to be sacrificed. You have a higher rollover risk. They're noisy on the highway. And they're expensive, and they don't, generally speaking, the bigger, nubbier off-road tires, if you do a lot of highway driving, you don't get a lot of mileage out of them because they're not designed for that. They're designed for mud, dirt, snow, off-road use. Something to keep in mind. If you're in the city, regular radial tires will work. That's pretty much it. If you're going to be really overloading your vehicle, like I have load range E tires on my truck, and they're heavy duty tires because I plan on carrying a lot of weight. I got a lot of people, a lot of animals, and a lot of gear. So yeah, but it took me a while to get to that point with all that gear. Let me make that clear again. So anyway, hope this helps maybe some of the new people out there. Don't get discouraged. Work with what you got. Work within your budget. I say many times, there's no shame in that. I work within my budget. There's still a lot of things I wish I had for my vehicle that I don't, but hey, over time, maybe I will. But for now, I know I got what works for me. Build what works for you within your budget. All right, everybody. Hope this was an enjoyable video. Normally, it's not my normal Sunday angry rant, so I'm actually in a good mood on this Sunday. Go figure. All right, everybody. Love you all. God bless. That's it. Have a great day.